All right, welcome everyone. Welcome back to Grind and Grace. I'm your co-host Michael, and I'm here with Mr. Charles. And we're going to kick off a topic today about how to get out of a funk when you just feel like nothing is going right for you, and business is down, personal life may be down, all those things are happening. How do you handle it, and how do you fix that situation? All right, so this is relevant to both of us. We'll go through these ups and downs, and everything is cyclical. So you'll go through highs and go through lows. Just know that it's going to come and it doesn't last forever. So I'm gonna let Charles kind of kick it off. I don't have an immediate question for you, so if you have just a thought that you want to share on this topic,
Okay.
we'll let this just grow organically, and not just have a script that we're following, so that you get the genuine answer from all of us. So go ahead and kick it off.
That's good. So, how to get out of a funk when you're feeling funky? I'll say, man, that's a good question. And one place I've recently realized I've been negating when it comes to getting out of a funk is, I go to the source. And what do I mean the source? Like, I'm a person of faith, and I'll let you speak to your uh but yeah, when I get really in a funk, I really do try to say, okay, well, am I in alignment with like three key areas? Like one, am I aligned spiritually? Which means like, I'm doing the things I feel I need to be doing to feed my spirit. Secondly, am I aligned with my physical? Like, am I exercising or am I eating, a proper diet? And then thirdly, am I aligned with my like goals? Are the things I'm doing getting me closer to my goals? Or do I feel that I'm getting further away from them? And if those three things are kind of aligned with me, my energy like returns and I can start to get out of the funk. That's what I say.
Mm.
What about you?
Uh, that was like yours was very organized and structured. Uh, me, I take everything back to like, let's see how simple I can keep it,
Mm,
because I don't deal well with structure. Even though I'm a very militant and organized person,
very.
I just have like a simple plan. Okay, let me get back to where my confidence is.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I'm if I was functioning at this high level initially and everything was going right for me, and now nothing is going right, I was like, okay, where can I find confidence? And I'll edge myself down, looking
Mm.
for the place that works for me. And sometimes you got to go all the way back to ground zero.
Like, what does that mean?
So let's say that I was bringing on clients, and all of a sudden everyone's telling me no. I'm not getting any production, no new businesses coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I even had some clients leave, and I just feel like I'm losing.
Mm-hmm.
I would go back to what can bring a little bit of joy into my work life,
Right.
and what was I good at in the first place. And so, okay, in my IT business, I like, okay, I know I can do the IT work.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make me happy, but I can at least have some wins in that area. And so maybe I would reach out to my clients and initiate a project. Like, hey, I see that you're lacking in this area. So it's not very sales oriented. Like, hey, you have these shortcomings in this area.
It's upselling.
It is upselling, but they do need it. uh,
Yeah,
at
and
this,
so that's like you're thinking a warm market versus like, or a hot market versus warm and versus cold.
yeah. So like I said, but that would be a structured thought process,
Mm,
and mine is like, I'm just trying to go back where I can get a win.
mm,
Like, let me go win somewhere.
right.
And same thing could be in your personal life. If you're struggling with building a relationship with your kids, or building a relationship with your wife, you just have to go back to that confidence level where you can win.
Right.
Like, I know we both like eating at this restaurant,
Right.
and we always seem to have a good time there. Let's let me see if I can organize a date that we can just go on there, and you know that you can foster a good situation, and
Mm-hmm.
it just gives you a little pick me up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so
That's good.
that's basically what I do. And once you get that little win, now you take a next step forward when you're
Mm-hmm.
ready. Because once you got that confidence build, that's when you feel like nothing can go wrong.
Mm.
And I remember back in 2019, uh, everything I did in business just worked.
Yeah.
Like everything I touched turned to gold,
Mm-hmm.
and it rolled over into 2020, and like it was good, man.
Right.
Then I don't know, yeah, COVID happened, and it just trickled down from there. Like with the economy, everything. Like
And
I
when you
took.
say everything you touch turns to gold, you mean in terms of you put something out there, people want to buy it?
Uh, it's like I couldn't make an incorrect investment decision.
Mm.
I Every client or prospect I talked to came on board.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
everything just worked out effortlessly,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and that's why I say everything I touched to the grow. Like I didn't
Makes
even have
sense.
to make an effort, and everything worked
It was
out.
working good.
Yeah,
Could that have been a sign of the economy though? Because when people have more money, they're more willing to spend too.
yeah. The economy was on a high.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, in 2019, the economy wasn't on a high. The economy went into a high in 2020 and 2021 when the government started pumping in money.
Oh, we were
Uh,
still up,
yeah, I wasn't as up as I was in 2019.
or in 2020.
No, in 2019, like I mean, I don't want to talk dollars, but like
It was pretty
I
nice.
couldn't spend money fast enough before it got replenished,
Mm.
and so and please don't agree, I'm not being boastful or anything like
No,
that
no,
because
no, no, no,
because I'm not even a materialistic person.
no, no,
I'm just
no.
saying
You're
like
just saying, yeah, from a volume,
yeah, from a volume perspective, there was just
more was coming in that you could spend than you could spend.
yeah.
It's a nice place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
By the
but
way, like when you do feel that more is coming in than you can spend, uh, I realize the importance now because I've had a moment like that too. I realize now the importance of squirreling more away than you think you would even need for the future, because those times don't last forever.
yeah, that's true. Yeah. I remember we had a conflicting perspective because our highs were in similar times.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you, you gave me a justification of like, you know, something about like the bird or the sparrow. God provides for the sparrow. He doesn't have to like.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
It was something from a biblical nature.
yeah. Uh-huh.
Like if God looks out for the
If
sparrow,
King Solomon in all of his glory, they said, okay, yeah, yeah. Basically, it says, um, if a sparrow is sold for a small amount in the market, and the Lord provides for them, how much more will your heavenly Father not provide for you?
yeah, yeah,
That's where the song, his eyes on the sparrows,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
so I know He's watching over me because, like, aren't you worth more than a dozen sparrows or whatever?
yeah.
So,
And my kickback to you is that a sparrow never gains; it always lives at the same level.
hmm
And so I take the ant approach.
well, a sparrow could probably have more food at certain seasons, maybe.
It's only because the abundance is there, and not because it gathered the abundance.
Of course.
It doesn't gather.
Well, so that's a good point because, in a sense, the economy goes through seasons as well. It's winters, it's springs, it's summers. And, most people would say we're in a winter. Would you agree with that as an economy?
Oh yeah, yeah. I would definitely agree that we're in a winter, and I can feel spring coming.
Yeah, yeah.
So like I know that there's a massive turnaround. Uh, but the the little story about the ant and the grasshopper,
Hmm.
I think we discussed that before, where the grasshopper was chilling in the summertime while the ant was busy working away.
For the winter, yeah.
Yeah, and the grasshopper was talking to the ant like, "Hey man, why don't you just relax, have fun? Spend some of that you've been gathering,
Saving. Mm-hmm.
and the ants just busy working away, saying winter's coming. Kind of like what's that TV show?
Game of
Game
Thrones.
of Thrones.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
winter's coming. So you just keep collecting.
Mm-hmm.
And so in those glory days, I was only living on 5-10% of what I was making.
It's pretty nice.
And so that carried me
I was
through the
probably
winter.
saving 5-10%. you know, if that,
Yeah.
if that.
Yeah. And
Uh,
so it came a time where uh, it flipped and I was spending more than I was making because I was living off of the savings that
mm,
and thank goodness I did because in business you always have those cyclical uh, ups and downs, and so
mm-hmm,
you always have to put aside, and knowing that saving was done helps with that financial funk that comes because you feel
mm-hmm.
like you have a cushion, even though you see that cushion getting thinner and thinner. Like and you're like, okay, I need to pick up my work to start building up that cushion again before it goes to nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
And when you start seeing that cushion start to fluff up a little bit more, that security, the inner security, and it helps with your confidence and everything to start seeing those successes.
Mm-hmm.
And I know when you went into some business fluctuations, I that was my advice to you. I said, go back into what you know that you're good at, where you know you can produce. You're very reluctant about it, but like just go back to where you know you can produce
Mm-hmm.
and build from there. That does not mean you stay there forever. It's just
Right.
go get your confidence back, go get your money back, and grow.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and that's it depends on what you do, right? And me particular, my background is in accounting, so as a trained accountant, you traditionally trade your time for money, and I'd gotten out of that. I wouldn't call it a trap, but that way of earning income, because if you look at the cash flow quadrant, right, that falls in the self-employed
Mm-hmm.
uh, to employee side where you're trading time for money, and time is infinitely more valuable than money. So I was looking for a way to productize my knowledge instead of, you know,
And I agree. That's not the wrong thing to do. It's just that you can't skip a step. And
in what way? What do you mean?
so if you're trying to move from a business owner, not self-employed, so you have employee, self-employed, business owner, and
Mm-hmm.
investor. Uh, you want to make investor money where you have a product that is producing you income for that period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to, if the business owner phase didn't stabilize and it kicks you back down into the self-employed level, you have to go back to that self-employed level and build your confidence back and get back to the business owner. Then you can get to the investor side. So like you can't skip from self-employed to investor.
You can.
Yes, those anomalies are out there, but that it's like the game of Monopoly. You just
Well, so if you've done a good job trading time for money and you're a high earning self employed person. So, for example, I have a lot of clients who are, and I know our time is running low, but I have a lot of clients who are self-employed attorneys, and they'll be personal injury attorneys. So you can rake in a lot of money at once, like net an easily $2-3 million in a year, and then they can turn around and invest that.
Okay. All right. So what we'll do is we'll start back on part two on continuing this conversation on how to skip from self-employed to investor, or do you have to follow the path? Thank you for joining Grind and Grace, and we'll catch you on the next one.